Welcome to the Errata Sonata. This is Ian.
And I'm Noah.
Wow, we actually got through a clean opening.
That was so clean.
You didn't interrupt me. Nobody mentioned unexposed penises. I don't know what our checklist is now.
I think we're depressed, mate.
What, you think we're depressed?
Yeah, how else can you explain this normal opening?
You can't, hold on. You can't say I'm depressed. You can say you're depressed. My depression level is self-deterministic.
You're clearly acting differently, though.
Why?
Because you didn't even come in with that announcer voice.
Oh, welcome to the Errata Sonata.
That clean YouTube voice.
I hate this idea. Dude, I talk exactly the same to you as I do to our audience. This is just who I am.
I remember early podcast days, years ago when we first started podcasting. I was just sitting back and just kind of observing you and Jeremiah.
Okay.
And just watching you turn on podcasting voice.
Most of the people who, well, maybe that's not true. A significant number of the people who listen to us know what I'm like in person. And I don't think I act any differently.
I don't think you do anymore. But in those early days, it was just, you could hear it. You could tell that it was like suddenly performance got turned on.
I'm always performing.
Performance enhancing drugs.
I'm an artist.
That's why you're so confident in the change room.
Yeah, exactly. My performance enhancing drug shrinking the size of my testicles to peanuts.
We were supposed to avoid this topic. Apologies.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot. You know, I don't know if this is true. I always heard that like YouTubers have to like keep things clean in the first like 3 minutes. So I'll cut around so that way we don't mention any testicles until 3 minutes into the episode.
We should just start bringing back redacted.
Redacted. I do miss that.
We made it seem like it was going to be a centralizing theme.
You know why? It's because the first person I sent the podcast to told me that they didn't understand that it was a joke, and they thought that when we introduced the word redacted, that we were redacting something.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It was a confusing episode. It was only 3 hours long.
Yeah, it was an easy listening podcast.
That was so long ago, it feels like.
We started the podcast right after I got back from a trip, and now I'm just prepping to go on another trip. I'm prepping to go now to Alaska.
You are going on that cruise.
Yeah, I am going on that cruise. The old person cruise.
Been confirmed.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about it. I had such an action adventure holiday last time, and this one is going to be sitting around watching the world go by as like, you know, most of my fellow, I was going to say crewmates. That's not what I can call them. Cruise mates. My cruise mates are quickly approaching an early death.
What?
Well, they're old.
Okay, fair.
It's not that early.
Somebody posited going on a cruise for the honeymoon. And I'm like, I really don't want to go on a cruise. Just sounds boring to me.
I think it will be a little boring. I'm trying to like get gassed up for it because Julia's excited about it, and Julia used to go on trips with her family. But to me, it sounds so much harder to have an exciting trip and get blasted and get in trouble if I'm surrounded by, you know, was it octogenarians? Is
that what, 8 generations older than you?
Yeah, I think it's 80-year-olds.
Okay.
I think so.
I can imagine it being kind of fun. Just be absolutely like cranked out of your mind around a bunch of old people who are also partaking.
I find that old people like to think that they're really fun to drink around because like, hey, I'm hip and I'm young. You're not hip and you're young anymore. You have one hip left. Like,
it's funny. I started working recently with another employee that I've been working with.
Sure.
Kind of my first time working with him. We've been talking a lot about like our lives, 'cause we're getting to know each other. He's 50 something.
Yeah. 1 foot in the grave.
Right? And it's funny because he's talking about the older people at work. Then retire or die already. Like, get out of here. I'm like, dude, they got to be max 13 years older than you. It's not that much older than you. What do you mean retire or die?
Well, I think that's a common sentiment that comes from like millennials who are just like still like to think of themselves as being kids. But like, I mean, we're old. You're getting married.
Right, but there's like a 30-year difference between me and these gentlemen that he's talking about.
Sure.
There's like a 10-year difference between him and them. If I said that about a 35-year-old,
yeah,
retire or die already. You're like, he just started working. He just entered the workforce.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess nobody's really starting at their career level jobs at 15. So, and it takes like 15 years to be tenured.
I'm 28 now, and I reasonably think that this is my first 6 months that I've had being in my career. Everything before this has been school or training.
Same.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually 6 months in to my job as well. I mean, it's like 6.5. But before this, I worked in a restaurant, which
Making stacks.
yeah, but it wasn't a real job, you know. Like it was, but when I
You
talked
don't
to
think
people
restaurant workers are real workers?
I don't think they're real people, man.
Yeah.
I think they're AI chatbots.
You know what? I was thinking about this the other day because me and Julia went to one of those sushi places. You know how they're replacing waiters with
robots.
with the robots? And I can't decide if I'm supposed to tip.
I watched a hilarious little short cartoon today
Okay.
that was talking about Canadian self-checkouts. And I don't know how prevalent self-checkouts are in the States.
They're pretty prevalent. In fact, they're better because most U.S. self-checkouts can take cash.
You know what? I actually knew that. I did know that. But for example, today I went to Shoppers Drug Mart,
Okay.
which is like a pharmacy and just a general store. Super convenient. One of my favorite stores. I went through the self-checkout. You have to hit pay now, and then it asks you how many bags you're taking, and then it asks you if you'd like to donate, and then it asks you if you'd like to pay now, and then it asks you what type of payment you'll be using. And then finally you can pay. And so this short cartoon really hit home with me because he went to check out, he finished checking out, and he said, okay, time to pay. And the self-checkout asked for a tip for the employees. And so he said, yeah, you know what, give him a tip. And then a little guy named Tippy came up, kind of like Clippy.
Like Clippy, yeah.
Everyone knows Clippy.
I see. You know what? This is a moment where I think you are becoming old because Clippy is becoming a dying reference. But it's okay. Keep going with your story.
And this little Tippy came up and was like, how about leaving a tip for Tippy? Because I'm the one who distributes the tips and makes sure that everyone gets it. He's like, no, I'm not leaving a tip for this AI program. And I said, okay, would you like to donate for cancer? He says, okay, sure. The little tip guy's like, but nothing for Tippy? He's like, no. And he goes back, he's like, would you like to donate to Afghanistan? Would you like to donate to this? Donate to this. Tip for Tippy? He's like, why would I tip you? And then he explains, he's like, okay, a small tip for Tippy. And then he tips, and a guy comes up, he's like, I'm Tippy Jr.
Tippy too.
Would you like to throw a coin to Tippy Jr.? And then tip amounts to like 5 cents, 10 cents, 25. And then it just cuts to like him gone, right? Like he just took the groceries, didn't even finish the payment. But I resonate with that. Just like machines are just asking for tips at this point.
Machines are mostly the ones asking for tips. I mean, I feel so uncomfortable. I mean, I've expressed this a lot of times because I don't think this is an uncommon opinion. It is the most common opinion in the world that like tipping culture feels awful. Like, you know, whatever you land on it, tipping culture feels awful. Also, in addition to that, if you've accepted tipping culture, the concept of tipping as a percentile of your order is crazy. If I buy something but is worth $4,000, I should not be tipping a percentile of that.
And then most of the times, if you're like paying on machine and it gives you those options, you're also tipping on the tax on that tip.
I know.
It is a whole crazy.
Do you
shebang.
Do you tip workmen? I just had somebody come in to measure my blinds because I'm getting new blinds installed, and he was leaving, and I was like, I didn't reach for my wallet at all, but my mom was in the area, and she's like, oh, you should have given him some money. And I was like, well, this was like the pre-visit. Like, this is the first time I've met the guy. He came in, he measured, and then he's gonna come back and install it later. If I'm gonna tip him, I'm gonna do it then. Like,
yeah, no. It feels weird to even tip that. Like, I would never tip anybody for something that I could do myself, you know?
Yeah.
That's why you tip your doctors, because I can't do that myself. That's just an office reference. I don't actually believe that.
Yes.
You know what I always think of when we talk about tipping?
Sure.
Home Alone 2.
Oh, okay.
The bellhop who just like
who's
rubs
like,
his fingers together and they just put in like gum in his fingers.
That's like a big actor, isn't it? It's
I don't think he was a big actor. I know.
I'm pretty sure he is. Sorry, you're saying the bellhop was not a big actor, but the concierge or the manager of the hotel was a big actor.
I've never seen him in anything until this October when I watched the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes, that is the big actor,
which I had never seen before. Did not enjoy at all, but Taylor loves it. So we actually went to a screening, and it was interactive. It was cool. People had lines for like everything. It was a weird experience for me for sure. But on the way here, I was actually singing a song from the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, well, hold on. First of all, step one, it's Rob Schneider who's fucking the bellhop, which is a huge actor. But that's not who we're referring to, or at least that's not who I'm referring
Is
to.
he really a huge actor though?
Rob Schneider, yeah, he's very famous. He's like part of
He's only in Adam Sandler's movies.
Yeah, he's part of the Sandlerverse, and then he's been canceled many times because
he's very conservative.
Yes, well, a lot of things. He's done a lot of blackface and the equivalents, but the only reason I know anything about Rob Schneider is because the theater and film professor at McMaster, which is where I went to school, was the screenwriter for Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo, which Rob Schneider stars in.
Yep.
And so we had to study Deuce Bigalow for like a final paper, just because they were very conceited. And they're like, I want you to see how good my screenwriting is, and also how racist Rob Schneider is.
I haven't seen the movie. Is
Tim Curry, by the way, is who I was thinking of for Home Alone.
Is the screenwriting in Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo very good?
No, it's not.
Okay.
There's a reason why he's teaching at university instead of working in film anymore.
Yep, that's fair. That is a fair analysis. I just feel like, yes, obviously Rob Schneider is very famous, but it's kind of built off the back of Adam Sandler, right?
Yeah, I mean, but like that's
like I don't see him in his own movies.
That's in the same way that like realistically, I only see David Spade in other people's productions now. Like
isn't David Spade another Adam Sandler?
He is, but he was a genuine standalone actor before that.
Okay,
and then he kind of fell into the Sandlerverse.
The Sandlerverse.
The Sandlot kids.
See, Kevin James is the only one that I don't really think of in that way.
Because he's the king of Queens.
Exactly. Thank you for knowing that.
I will say that one picture of him shrugging at the camera is one of my favorite pictures in the world.
And he also has Paul Blart under his belt.
He does have Paul Blart.
Which, to my knowledge, has nothing to do with Adam Sandler.
Yeah, and you're a huge Paul Blart fan.
I'm not.
You've talked about this.
Have I? I haven't.
Yeah, because you told me, because I told you that I listen to a podcast that watches Paul Blart once a year, every year.
Yes.
And I watch every Christmas. I watch the episode, or New Year's, whatever. I think they do it over Thanksgiving, but I watch it over my Christmas break. Anyways, the important thing is that I told you that thinking that nobody cares about Paul Blart. Paul Blart is a dead franchise and always has been. And you told me that you laughed like crazy when you first saw Paul Blart, and you used to make a lot of in-jokes to it.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid.
Yeah, when you were a kid.
So okay.
I'm sorry, hold on. You're running a Digimon podcast that doesn't talk about Digimon. You're telling me you don't care about things from your childhood?
I've only seen the first Paul Blart.
Oh, wow.
Which is why I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
But also, I had never seen Die Hard at this point. So then I watched Die Hard. I was like, this is just a ripoff
Paul
of
Blart
Paul
reference?
Blart.
So, okay, this is... Now, Noah made me promise that I wouldn't bring up Xenoblade, but I'm going to bring up Xenoblade because I just finished Xenoblade 1, and I had already played Xenoblade 2, and I love Xenoblade 3. And I learned that Xenoblade 1 is... Essentially, Xenoblade 3 remakes Xenoblade 1 because Xenoblade 1 is a fucking mess of a game, and then Xenoblade 3 is an amazing game. And I'm like, wow, if I played these back to back to each other, I would feel so much worse about Xenoblade 3 because it's so clearly just riffing on the first game. And that's Paul Blart. Paul Blart is just a better Die Hard.
It's a Die Hard for kids.
Yeah.
For children.
For children.
All right. That is the... It's officially time to talk about Digimon.
Ugh.
It's time.
I was having fun. I want to talk about... I thought you were curious what my favorite girls were in Xenoblade.
No, I wasn't.
I have thoughts.
The reason I think it's time for Digimon is because you brought up Xenoblade.
Why?
That's the trigger for me.
You know that our audience doesn't even understand or appreciate. I'm a gamer, you know. They don't even understand how much time I'm putting into these games.
All right, fine. We'll talk about this before we talk about Digimon.
No, it's fine.
No, you've got me interested in the fact that you called yourself a gamer. Because you are a gamer.
I'm a big gamer.
You put mad hours into games.
Yeah.
But you're not like a gamer.
What do you mean?
You're not like a online League of Legends toxic male
Yeah, I was going to
gamer.
say, I don't post slurs in Discord.
No. So like you're kind of the lame version of a gamer.
I hide my power levels too much.
Yeah. No, like you play a lot of games, but you're not like a gamer.
Okay, I see what you're trying to say, but by repeating the word gamer with different intonations, we're not expressing what we're trying to say. So I'll say, I am not a Call of Duty grinder or a insert multiplayer experience grinder. I am a JRPG player. I'm a big fighting game guy, so I guess maybe that's a grinder. I've not genuinely put time into fighting games pretty much since we started the podcast in the last 6 months. I've been on kind of a drought.
I think that if you don't have like a really toxic mindset and you're not throwing slurs around, you can't really be considered a gamer.
You're really just focused on the idea of how many slurs I say.
Well, I don't really ever play League of Legends.
Yes.
Like, I don't think I've ever reached level 10, which is, I think, where you unlock runes or something. But I do think that the toxicity behind League games is hilarious to me.
Okay, I agree with you, but this is what I brought this up the other day, that the idea of like chirping in fighting games makes me really excited. But you wouldn't call people out. You wouldn't fucking put people on blast in the same way. League of Legends is just that.
No, but part of what makes it so funny is the fact that you are hiding behind like a computer screen. Like, you're just typing out a message.
Oh, I see. You need the fucking anime girl profile picture in order to hide your power levels.
Exactly. Well, the reality is, in-person events, chirping, could lead to a physical fight, physical altercation.
Yeah.
Which would be worrisome to me. Not even just about myself, but seeing two other people get into a fight, that would be worrisome to me.
Yeah, wrestlers.
Yeah. But online, there's no chance of that.
That's true. When you put it like that, I guess hate speech is not hate speech on the internet.
No, it's just less concerning that I might get in the middle of a brawl, you know?
Yeah. Well, see, I'm not a scrapper. I've never scrapped before in my life, which is interesting because the lead character of both Xenoblade 1 and 2 are known as scrappers. But I'm never going to get into a fight with anyone anyways. So what? Like, do you think that you're at risk at Digimon tournaments if you like call someone out for being a bad player?
All right. I've got 3 Digimon stories for you here now.
Sure.
Okay.
A lineup.
1. Digimon pre-release BT6 at Untouchables.
Oh, that's true. I do know this one, but keep going.
My friend has showing up to his first Digimon event.
Yeah.
People behind him were talking about plays that he should make.
You're bearing the lead on who those people were.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
After the event, he went like X and 1. He got like 3 or 4 packs. The person,
your friend's opponent,
my friend's opponent, was very angry and said that if he had won, he would have come second. I said, you should have won then. And that greatly upset him.
Yes.
To the point that he started pushing a table at me.
Yeah, the tables were moving pretty violently across the floor.
And he's
very explicit. He wanted you to go outside.
Yes. Well, he wanted to fight inside. So that's first Digimon battle event.
Okay.
2.
I don't know the second 2, so yeah, keep going.
2. This isn't really a fight incident, but it's more the fact that when we were talking about going to Gen Con,
I
was like, yeah, bring Jeremiah. If anything goes down, he's big. He'll protect us.
He's our muscle, yeah.
Getting to know Jeremiah, I no longer think he's our muscle.
No, I very much don't think that Jeremiah would protect us if it came down to it.
I don't think he'd get in a fight.
You think he'd just back down?
Yeah.
Well, I'd also back down. That's not the problem. The issue is, if it came to blows, do I think he would be my shield? Would he stand in front of me and protect me?
How am I the fighter in the group?
Well, you're kind of seedy.
I'm not the tallest. I'm not the biggest. How am I the fighter in the group?
I'm a gamer, dude. I've got nothing to it.
And it's not even, I'm not like the scrappy dog that's out there looking for fights. I'm just the one most willing to partake in a fight if it comes down to it.
This is an unfair question because what you're really talking about is 3 nerdy guys who play Digimon. Within that pool, you are the scrapper. You are the fighter.
Jeremiah is huge. He's a big guy. He works out. He takes pride in him. The fact that he squats 400 pounds.
Yeah.
But what good are those? What's he doing with them?
Glam muscles.
Yeah, exactly. Number 3 is about you.
Wait, what did I do?
At Gen Con.
Oh, that's right. I did get into it.
I remember I stood in line behind this guy and when we were registering. And I remember just noting how massive he was.
Yeah.
He had that giant, like, 2-gallon water bottle. He was ripped, talking about how he's going to go to the gym that night. Just a huge guy. And then I find out the next day that you decided to beef with him. Okay. This massive gentleman.
No, but hold on. We've said this on the podcast. I was morally in the right here. He was a slow player.
I don't care.
Okay,
I don't care. The fact that you went to start a fight, not only a Digimon card game, but with the biggest guy there.
What I'm hearing is I am a hero of justice, standing up for what's right.
No.
Even when the odds are against me.
No, because you went and apologized after. Like a little baby.
Well,
never apologize. Never surrender.
Yeah, I regret framing that as an apology. Because what I wanted to say was, hey, I regret popping off, but you're a piece of shit and I know what you did and we both know what you did. And the judge said he knew what happened, but it was too late to change anything.
Yes.
But the way it came across is like, hey, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I stood up against you when you were an asshole.
I do miss that about Hearthstone. Just the rope. Just every turn you have a set amount of time, and it's not like a stupid amount of time. It's just a set amount of time that you have to take your turn. And if you're running a deck that requires a lot of actions, just you need to have high APM. That's the situation.
This actually brings us to what I was going to try and bring up today, because we had a talk in our Discord. Again, a Discord that we're not going to mention. We're not going to invite other people to. Stop asking. But about, would chess clocks be good for the game?
We've talked about this so many times in our Discord. Straight from like, as soon as we started playing, we were talking about this.
Yeah, because I still have mixed feelings on it. We know that, like, obviously time is in conversation right now because of the AI post of rule changes that are happening in Japan. And do you think that a chess clock would actually resolve our issues, or would it create new ones?
It's so hard to know, right? We're making a theory. We have a theory about a way to fix something.
A game theory, one might say.
Right.
I'm a gamer, by the way.
Here's my take on the matter. At work, when I think something might work, I just say, let's try it and see what's going to happen. And if it doesn't, we don't do it. That doesn't work the same when you're changing tournament rules. It's not as valid when you've already distributed the project. It's more like in test phasing, you know? So do I think a change to a chess clock would fix everything? No. But here's my problem with the chess clock. Chess clock is you have a set amount of time to play out your whole match in. What I actually want is the Hearthstone system, which is you have a set amount of time per turn to take your turn.
Yeah. So if the game hypothetically gets to a point where the number of turns it takes to complete increases, that's like a design issue that they can plan around and resolve on Bandai side.
There's definitely cons to it. With a chess clock, you can kind of allocate your time strategically. Again, I'm a fan of like the simpler solution, which is just time turns. I do think that something of that sort, though, would just be beneficial. I just think that right now we don't really have a punishment for slow play.
No, because like the biggest thing that can happen is a TO comes over, or a judge of some kind, and says, finish your turn, like hurry it up. But at the end of the day, if you're playing a deck that has a lot of effects, the judge is not going to say, no, sorry, you're not allowed to complete your effects.
Yeah, because what it says in the tournament rule manual is that you should be taking an action, I think it's around like a minute. It might be slightly less. An action like every 20 or 30 seconds. Something around that time.
If you take it to the extreme of every action, you will not finish game one.
Well, and the thing is we're not timing these actions, right?
Yeah.
So because we don't actually have a solid timer in place, it really just comes up to discretion. And in general, I don't like leaving stuff, especially in competitions, up to discretion. That's part of why I don't like sports with judges. Even referees are annoying.
Yeah, like you want it to be something as objectively measurable as possible.
Exactly. I remember
the issue is almost every game, like a referee exists just to be a neutral party. Like tennis doesn't need a referee, but you have one to make calls about lines.
The problem is that there's human error involved, or even just human judgment, which can often be wrong. I was much younger when I found out that if a referee feels like maybe they make a call and they stick with it, and then they're like, I don't know about that call, they try and like balance out the calls they make against both teams.
So I know that, and what's more, I know that relatively recently, a lot of sports have been having conversations of should the ref decide or should the footage decide for final calls. And for the most part, games still stick with referee decides. But I know that in our lifetime, there was a fencing match that came down to judge decision at the Olympics. And I mean, it's a much larger story that anybody who was alive for this time cares about. But the long and short of it is they decided we're going to go frame by frame through the footage. We're going to rely on the footage. And like, that's what matters more than anything. Who do the machines support should have won? human error is outside of the equation.
Unfortunately, that would just kind of wreck the flow of a lot of modern sports.
Well, if the time to determine the right decision is shortened by better digital tracking, I don't think it would.
Well, the thing is it's a more correct decision, but you have to actually take the time to look through the footage, whereas a ref is just making the call immediately. So it's
but a lot of sports are like considering like, do we want to have digital sensors within balls in order to track their position and know whether they've gone over lines?
Yeah, of course. I think that would be better. But I think that the more concerning calls are usually made around fouls, which is what we're talking about now, which is a slow play foul in the terms of Digimon.
Thank God Digimon does not have a flopping issue.
But it's just the problem with it being up to discretion, just to start out, is the fact that a judge isn't at every table. You can call the judge, but you're still having to wait for that judge. And they have to stick around. They can distribute a warning, but then they have to stick around for the game, the whole game, be able to distribute another warning if it comes up. And as soon as they leave, the person's just free to slow play again, because they're not going to come back over to the game or come back into the call and say, all right, you've already had a slow play warning. Without seeing anything, I'm just going to give you another one. They're going to stick around and wait for them to slow play again. It's just, I don't like this human judgment factor, which is why I would prefer just hard and fast timers for turns, which is unfortunately, again, very difficult with a physical game like this. Digital games kind of solve a lot of issues.
They do. I mean,
they solve cheating issues just right out the gate.
There's functionally no need for any kind of judge. But I mean, we've talked about this before. The moment it becomes digital, I do become a lot less invested in playing, because part of the reason I play card games is to have that in-person experience.
No, I think digital just lends itself better to the competitive side of the game. And then the more casual side is just, I mean, it's super great to just be able to hop online and play a game, but you do have that more social, casual side. But I do think that digital is just superior in almost every way. That's why the first worlds we ever had for Digimon was a digital client, which was cool.
There's always going to be some issues with digital, but most of the nitpicks with digital are present in physical. It's just harder to quantify. So people talk about, is shuffling in a digital client good enough? Like, what is our shuffling system in a digital client?
They're just mad they can't pile shuffle.
People aren't good shufflers in person, so
yeah. I trust a digital client to shuffle my opponent's cards so much more than I trust my opponents to shuffle their cards.
I'm not going to call anyone out by name, but I will say that this week I told someone I wasn't comfortable with them just doing a pile shuffle. I was like, hey, could I shuffle your deck a little bit? Would that be okay? And they were cool about it, but there definitely is like a social barrier at locals, especially, to being like, hey, you did not shuffle your deck, and like I should be educating you, and I should be saying like that was not okay, for that to be like the time that you spent shuffling was just spent pile shuffling. But boy, it's like you feel like a social pariah if you're just like telling someone they're doing something wrong and they're like, explain it to me, I don't get it. It's like, dude, we're in the middle of a tournament. I can't get into it right now.
Yeah, you just have to say in that time, you have to say, it's not an adequate shuffle. It says in the tournament rules. We can get into it more after. A couple tournaments back, I was playing online and I faced someone, and they just took their top 5 cards from their deck and kind of splayed them out and put them down. And I said, you did it wrong. The top card should be the bottom card of your security. Top card of your deck, bottom card of your security. And so he takes the top card of his security and puts it to the bottom of the security. I said, okay, you don't have it right still. And he says, I understand what you're saying, but nobody's ever said this to me before. So he picks up his security and shuffles it. And I said, I'm going to call a judge, because 1, they can explain to you what the ruling is. And 2, not cool for you to just shuffle your security like that. Like, it was really simple instructions to follow. And then the judge walked him through like how he should do it. And he was pretty salty about it. But I'm like, why are you so salty about playing the game properly?
Well, so this is something that's bugged me before, because I also have another issue. A lot of these things they're minor on paper, but it's somebody not obeying the rules of the game. So like, one thing that has happened to me is somebody splayed their cards like how you're describing. So as if they were just like, there's 5 cards in order. They maintain that same order. And I told them it was wrong. And they were like, no, don't worry, it's fine. I got over it. And then once we got into the match, they took the bottom card out when they were checking their security. And when they would recover, they would I hated this. They were like slotting it into the bottom of the pile. So they were doing it correctly. It was just organized in a way that was very confusing for how we're used to playing the game.
Okay, yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. Whack that people do it that way.
Whack that people do it that way.
It's correct, but it looked like it's just so confusing.
I know, and I was like, you're not breaking a rule, but boy, this is confusing to like...
Kind of like how you have your deck set up.
Well, no, whatever. I'm doing it for the good of the people. I'm going to fucking elbow more people in the nuts.
Okay, I have another little story about online tournaments and just people being upset about being told told the rules. And it's just, why not be okay with
hearing that you may have been doing something slightly wrong and figuring out the way to do it right?
Or even, I have lots of stories like this because I've been playing lots of tournaments and I've gotten better and better and quicker to call a judge, but also just more likely to say, I don't like the way you did that. Let's do this differently, because it's an online tournament. Even if I don't think you're a cheater, I don't want to take the risk. And even if you tell me you're not a cheater, that's what every cheater is going to say.
Yeah.
So like if I ask you to cut 10 to the bottom and you get upset about that, why? Why are you upset? Like, it's just part of the game. I can't shuffle your deck for you. You can't be upset about a cut or me asking you to not just pile shuffle. It's just the rules, man. It's just how you have to play the game. And I really wish we could just move towards removing pile shuffling from the game.
Like entirely?
Yeah, just say it's not allowed to do.
The issue is that if you say it's not allowed to do, people are still going to do it between their matches because they'll be like, well, it's declumping my deck, which obviously it is, but...
It's not random. And that's the point of shuffling isn't to make your hand as good as it can be. Okay? The point of shuffling isn't to make it so you draw into a 3, 4, 5, 6. It's to randomize your deck.
So here's, as I say this, if he listens, he will know who he is. But that guy who I'm referring to with pile shuffling, I told him, hey, that's not okay. And he's like, well, no, it is okay. You just have to do it the right way. I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, when I pile shuffle, I start by doing, 1 to 10. And then I'll do every other pile. And then I'll do it reverse. And I'm like, that's still pile shuffling. It's just more annoying to like detangle how you put it together. Like if a judge came over, I will not be able to remember all of the steps of your pattern to disassemble your deck and put it back to its original state. But you still have pile shuffled. You've still done the same thing.
Right. And even if you pile shuffle and then shuffle together all the little piles properly, what was the purpose of the piles?
You wasted time.
Yeah, just shuffle the deck properly. And that's what it comes down to. I feel like we haven't talked about pile shuffling that much on the podcast. We have talked about it.
We have talked about it.
But me and you both really dislike it.
Yeah, we are confirmed pile shuffle haters. To the point that as I said, I feel awkward expressing to someone how angry them pile shuffling makes me. And the only reason I don't is because of like social norms.
Yes. Which is upsetting for sure, to be like, I don't feel comfortable expressing that this isn't allowed because of social norms. Because I don't want to be accused of rule sharking when I say you can't activate this on deletion if you don't have the card in trash anymore.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna talk about something because everyone in this story is a cool dude who I went out for dinner with afterwards, and I don't think that they did anything wrong. But I think it is a part of larger Digimon cultural issues and card game cultural issues that's not good. I went into a tournament. I went to a local. And while I was at the local, I sat across from somebody who was very clearly like, I'm just playing a fun deck that I don't know how well it's going to do. Let's just hang out and chat and have a good time. And so I was like, I let down my guard. I let down my defenses. Pile shuffling happened. I let it go. I didn't cut their deck at one point because I was like, all right, they're like letting mine go. I'll just let theirs go. I let down my guard.
That's how they get you.
And they won the tournament. And they went 4-0 in the tournament. And it was with Devas, which I had not seen before. So I actually didn't even have a concept that it was as effective as it could be. And I think that's exactly what it is that the moment there are different decisions you make based on social norms, like, oh, they're treating me casually, so therefore I'll try and treat them casually. That is poison. That is poison for a tournament. That is poison for competitive gaming. And I try and say that I'm steeled, that my heart is strong, and that I will always cut their deck. I will always challenge their shuffles. I will always, call them out if they do something wrong in the game. But in my heart, I won't.
I know.
I can't.
I am steeled. I treat every person I face the same, exact same in a tournament. Casual, I don't care. Even local, sometimes I'm like, I don't really care. But in a tournament, I'm like, yeah, every single time I'm going to have you cut like a weird way. Not like weird, but I switched around. And then even the people that get upset about it are uncomfortable with the fact that I'm like, okay, I'm going to have you cut this way. And then I'm going to have you cut that way. And then I'm going to have you cut this way. And they're like, you just cut half every time. I'm like, you're not going to be able to make me feel bad about me having you cut your deck a different way. Okay? Because the easiest way for someone who's going to cheat to get away with it is to
make you feel awkward.
Yeah, make you feel awkward, or even say, you don't have to cut, don't worry about it. Do you still want me to cut? Like enabling that awkwardness to like permeate you, because they're saying, well, I'm not going to do it, so are you sure you still want to do it? That's why I'm not a fan of gentlemen's agreements.
Yeah.
Like, what was the I was just
Cheeks?
Was it a Magic tournament, or maybe it was Yu-Gi-Oh, where this person would go around and gentlemen agree to take a card out of their deck in the mirror match, because it like made the mirror match really dumb if both people had it, but it made it super free if you had it. And they would gentlemen agree to take a card out of their deck, and they'd both lay it their face up to show that they had gotten rid of it. But he ran multiple copies to get around that. I think it was a Yu-Gi-Oh player.
That's really funny.
Oh,
though.
super scummy. And that's actually why they've said you can't gentlemen's agreement games. In the rule manual for that game, which again I believe is Yu-Gi-Oh. But yeah, like funny to look in, but also scummy and sad, And that's why gentlemen's agreements, anything like that, I won't.
Well, Yu-Gi-Oh's pretty good about that, where like they have a lot of like a lot of rules that exist to support the spirit of the game, and Magic is pretty hard on the opposite end of the spectrum, where like there's definitely a lot of, what's the phrase, angle shooting, in order to like trick people into like thinking the wrong thing, and then you win on a technicality.
I guess I feel like Magic's also worked their way to get rid of that, like the whole pithy needle thing, and
it's gotten better, but it's definitely not like massively improved. I mean, like the big thing that comes up, we talked about this with the cards that were in your deck box, but in Magic, people will put fake tokens into their deck box so that way their opponent thinks they're facing the wrong deck. Whereas in Yu-Gi-Oh, if you do that behavior, you will get in trouble.
Which is funny now, because in Digimon, you might just have to put a token on your side of the field.
I know. Oh god, it's so upsetting. They're fucking Fujitsumon tokens.
In person, they are required to have the tokens. But when you're playing online, it's not like you can reach through the screen and put a token down for you. Again, you're still not required to have the tokens, but it definitely helps.
I will say it's so funny because I've not run it yet in any deck that I've ever built. But on paper, Octomon is possibly my favorite purple champion that has been released. Because I think the idea of just create a chump on my own or my opponent's side of the field that I can just interact with, Alice McCoying this Fujitsumon token, makes me so excited.
Real quick, I'm going to give him a shout out. I don't know if you listen to Security Checkpoint's podcast. They interviewed the world champion.
Oh yeah, Pete.
Yep. He talked about how he forgot that the Octomon token was a purple card, so he could have used Chaos Degradation. And I was like, yeah, me too. Because unless you have proper tokens, like that's just not in your head, right?
Of course.
And I think that's so funny that like that card has a color that enables you to do stuff.
Yeah, because like, I mean, technically Diaboromon tokens are also white, but for the most part, you are not making tokens for your opponent.
Yeah.
And so like it never really matters other than Fujitsu.
Yeah, and then like for yourself, like if you had a white option, your Diaboromon already kind of enables it.
Well, that's always why constantly I think to myself, if MDF was legal, the new Diaboromon package would make Omnimon's Wart really interesting. There's a lot of
you can play with
trashing.
the Ace too.
Sorry?
You can play with Diaboromon Ace too.
Play out Diaborum on Ace. The only thing is you can't use Omnimon's Wurt's ability to take a card to hand if that card would be Ace without having to spend the overflow. That's the only annoying part about it, but
Yeah, but
MDF, getting his Wurt out for free feels great.
well, you could still use that. You just overflow.
You have to pay 4 memory, yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's dying at the end of the turn anyway. Just
I
end the
guess
turn.
I guess that's true.
You already Digivolve for free. You can't pay 4 memory now? You're so stingy. All right, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
Quick commercial break.
All right, we'll be right back, everyone.
And we're back.
You just love YouTuber voice now.
I do. I didn't even do my YouTuber voice there. I just wanted to say, and we're back.
All right, fine.
I really like that transition, you know?
All right, listeners, just so you know, I thought we were going to take a break so we can eat something, and I still have not been fed, and I've been brought back, and so now I'm angry.
How are you hungry? You told me you had lunch 3 hours ago at 5 p.m.
Yeah, but I probably weigh your weight and a half. I'm a big guy.
5 p.m. lunch, everybody. Just take that in.
Well, it's fine, because it's Saturday, for the record, and we're going to be going to bed at like 3 a.m.
And you get up at like 2 p.m., so.
No, I was up at 9 a.m. because I wanted to make sure that I finished Xenoblade 1 before you came over.
I was also up at 9 p.m. because I had to go get some flavored creamer for the coffee in the house for not me, by the way.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Why? You should have said no.
That's the life I live, living in a house full of women. I have to be the dutiful errand boy.
Do you feel like that's your role?
Yes.
We have different dynamics because I send Julia out on errands.
I wish. I wish. No, I have to be the person that does stuff. I have to be the person that fixes stuff and does stuff, and all the expectations get.
Yeah, I'm not much of a man's man. I don't do things. I wake up at 9 a.m., leave Julia asleep, and go play Xenoblade. That's what I do.
You are a gamer, man.
I'm a gamer.
All right, so today we talked about timers and slow play a little bit.
You think I forgot?
No.
You're just reminding me?
Well, we did take a long break.
Oh, that's true. To not eat dinner.
We talked about timers and slow play, everybody. This is the quick recap for the people that zoomed ahead to the Digimon section.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll put like a clear audio identifier so they can know when to stop and start listening.
Yeah. Well, we talked about slow play. We talked about potentially introducing timers to the game. I want to say, like,
sounds interesting.
Let's establish. What do you think? If you
What's
had to
my
make,
actual what's it called? Sword in the sand. Where I'm sitting.
If you interrupt me one more time, I'm gonna slap you.
I'm editing it. It's fine.
I don't have the reach that you have, so you'll probably get me first. But I'll jump across this couch.
I'm hungry, dude. I'm antsy. All right, ask your question.
Yeah, put your sword in the stone. Unleash your sword onto the change room. If you had to make a decision this second, from now on, Digimon will have timers. Yes or no? Yes, the person with their hand up.
Okay.
Person with their hand touching the ceiling.
I just wanted to make sure I was allowed to talk. I think there is an implementation of chess clocks which would improve the game. So I would rather implement chess clocks tomorrow and then
And we're back.
I had one tiny snafu and I cut off my own sentence. Nobody needs to know or care about it. Let's just continue with what we were saying.
He was waving his hands around so much, he reached the keyboard across the room, by the way. It's 10 feet away. But his Diaboromon arm just reached over and slapped the space
You
bar.
made me raise my hand to answer a question. I'm used to like lounging and now I have to be, sitting straight up in a desk. Anyways, the point is chess clocks are good. I hope we implement them and we'll figure out the details later.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's kind of my philosophy when I want to test something. It's let's see what happens and then move from there, right? I don't want to take too much time thinking about what the repercussions are going to be to the point where I'm not saying that's bad, but to the point where we never go about testing it. I would always want to test something at minimum, see how it works. That's kind of why I was so excited about the Ultimate Cup formats that we had been doing. I enjoy just having Ultimate Cup regular format as well, but just at least testing stuff out is very enjoyable.
Yeah.
And so I definitely would be a fan of some kind of clock format that, again...
A Clockmon, if you will.
Yes. I love Clockmon. He's so cool.
He is cool. I actually really like him.
But not the Hunter's one. He needs to have the hooded guy coming in.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, it upsets me that Clockmon does not always have the hooded dude. Wait, is the hooded dude just a guy who hangs out with him, or is he part of Clockmon?
He's part of Clockmon. I just think like it's like how it's like how Blue Flare Greymon is different than regular Greymon.
Yes, but they're both Greymons.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just like, or like we have two wildly different Cyberdramons.
Yeah.
But I think that if you were to ask me right now, do you want say a 2-minute turn time per turn, which is on the very low side? Yes. Let's see everyone's APMs get super high, decision making be like instantaneous, and let's get this ball rolling. You know, maybe 2 minutes is a little low because of how much you see a lot more cards per turn compared to other games. But some kind of turn timer that maybe 5 minutes even kind of feels like a long time, obviously, because overtime is 5 minutes. And my biggest complaint is overtime starts and the person takes all of overtime.
Yeah. I say 2 minutes makes sense. It's like it's excess of what you should need, but having it exist is like, all right, that's a hard barrier. Like you fucked up if you've hit 2 minutes in a turn.
Yeah, and I think obviously for some decks like Lilith Loop, it makes it more difficult, but that's what makes it so you really need to kind of know what you're doing and be planning out your turns. And I don't want to say that it'll separate the better players from the good players, you know, like the best from the good, but the players that really know how they're going to operate the turn are going to be separated because they'll be able to still utilize these decks and do complete their turn properly.
Yeah, we will reward deck knowledge in a way that, I mean, it's already rewarded now just because it makes you perform better, but now it's another way of rewarding deck knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. So my consensus is I would love some kind of timer, something that isn't reliant on human judgment prevent slow.
There's also something to be added that I think with a lot of rules and questions like this, like, does it make things complicated? And the answer should be no. Because if one of you has a phone, then you can have a functioning chess clock without really adding any dexterity barrier to playing. So it's so easy to implement. Be great to just start it and try it, and then sort out the exact numbers after that once we've tested it. Because we can also start super generous and then whittle down.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the way that they'd be safest to do.
Unfortunately, this will probably never happen.
I know.
But it's so cool to think about. Well, at least it's fun to think about and be fun to test with. I like the idea. I think I've mentioned this to you before. Speed Digimon.
Yes.
It's like you have like 2 seconds to make an action. And like you just have to keep going and rolling. So I think it similar to speed chess, it presents a lot of interesting thought processes.
Yeah, you have to play differently because you are so limited on your time.
Exactly. Well, I think it's we're getting into mail time. We get to read the comments.
All right. Let's see who's messaging us now.
All right, first one we've got Vespa SB.
Oh, really? Okay, you know what? I'm so here. I know you're gonna get into it, but I'm so sad. I gotta call out Vespa quickly. I gotta give us one fewer listener because Vespa was gonna come hang out with me at a local, and I was so excited for them to roll up. And then when it was the day of, they didn't show up. I said, "Don't worry. If you show up next week, I'll be there as well." And they never replied to my message.
That's because they were busy being at my local.
Oh.
I saw Vespa and another kind of golden era Digimon player at locals this week.
Who?
It was Eric.
Oh shit!
And it was like a blast from the past, you know, walking in and being like, "My goodness, it's 2022 again."
dude, that's my OG crew. That was like talking about going out to Boston Pizza after every local. That was like the original. That was 2 of the 4 that would always go.
I think that if I walked into locals and saw the kind of like crew from back in 2022, I might shed a tear. Like, oh yeah, this is what it used to be like, you know? Not that I have a problem with how.
No, but it's nice to see people again.
It's just nostalgia.
Actually, you know what? You're saying this. Maybe even before this episode goes live, I might shoot Eric a DM and see if he wants to hang out because I miss that guy.
Yeah, it's always hard to see.
But not Jesse. No.
It's hard to see people drop out of Digimon, but it's so exciting to see them come back in, especially because you're like, you want to see these crazy new decks now.
Oh, the world changes, dude. If you walked away for 4 sets, the game is so different.
Well, my Mirage, a lot of the alts in my Mirage deck, I bought from Eric.
Okay.
Well, there was a proxy involved. He sold them to a store. I bought them from the store. But So I had to whip out Mirage, obviously. It's not like I don't play the deck, but I got to show off what Mirage is doing nowadays. All right, I'm going to read this comment left by Vespa. 6 minutes and 24 seconds was the time before I went, what the hell are they on about? That's the fastest time yet.
Wait, what episode was this?
This is in reference to you talking about the change room.
Well, hold on. That was a good opinion.
wait a minute.
No. Wait. Hold on.
Love the episode. Keep it up, boys. Thank you so much. Dear listener.
Thanks so much, dear listener. Show up to a local. That's it. Just show up to a local. Yeah. I want to see you.
It was great to see you out at locals, and I'd love to see more people who comment out at locals, especially the people that aren't normally at locals, because that'd be crazy.
Maybe push some tables into Noah.
Yeah. All right, I've got another one. 2 comments this week.
Wow.
We're basically Kim Kardashian and Kanye West or something.
Which one are you?
Well, I'm not going to say Kanye because that's controversial.
Well, it's okay, because you already labeled me as Trump, so I think I actually have to be Kanye.
Yeah. All right. This one is from Dreams 130.
Dreams 130. Like Dreams like the speedrunner?
I have no clue.
It's Dreams like the one PlayStation game that I really enjoy?
I have no clue.
Dreams like what I see each night when I go to sleep?
No. Wait, that is how it's spelled. It's your other listener here, Fred.
Oh, my boy.
Can you expand on your Beyblade Purple Memory Boost story, Ian? Still sorry for my part in the chaos. I agree with Noah about hybrids. Want green hybrid support. All right. So I read this comment.
Okay.
And I said, oh, cool. I will go and find when we talked about the story on the podcast and mark it for you so you can go back and listen to the story. And we spent a good chunk of time looking for this. Story doesn't exist. I don't know if it was a fever dream that I had.
I think that what has happened is sometimes things get recorded and the recording isn't as good or it doesn't fit with the pacing and so it gets cut. That's all it is. So because Fred is involved in the story, I will retell a story that you've already heard and Fred participated in. So really it's just a masturbatory circle of us.
I didn't even know it was Fred involved in the story.
Yes, Fred destroyed a card of mine.
Okay, let's hear the story.
Okay, so at Digimon Locals, Beyblade was being played at the same time. Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament was canceled, so they said, we're going to host Beyblade as our second tournament of the night, which was a terrible decision because the entire time that the Digimon players were playing cards, Beyblades were flying out of the fucking, what are the Coliseums called? The fucking battle.
I have no clue.
Okay, whatever. Man. The bowls, the kitchen bowls that they used to play Beyblades in. And so they were spinning Beyblades into it, and then they were shooting across the room and hitting people. So whatever, that's what we put up with. I was going to my assigned table number. The only tournament that we were told we have to sit our assigned table number because nobody wanted to sit next to the Beyblade players. And I had my back to them. And I was playing Shaman King, Minerva, Merva, Anubismon. And, you know, that's my blinged out deck. Every card's an alt art. I even have an alt art ruin mode, which I definitely want to keep safe.
You're a liar.
Well, I
do not have an alt art Anubis.
I don't have an alt art Anubis. You're right.
Got him. This is Noah revealing the truth every day on this podcast.
Anyways, I was playing against Fred. And while we were playing, I was so scared because every time there was a crash or a clatter, I was jumping. I thought I was going to get struck. I thought my card, worse than getting brain damage. I was worried my altar Minervamon might get crumpled. And so we were playing our match. And at one point, Fred says to me, okay, whatever, I'll play a Flamemon for 3 memory and pass turn, giving you 2. I said, no worries. So I put the memory to 2. I started playing out my turn. And then he shouts, wait! And he shoots his hand towards me when I'm jittery and I'm scared. I've got Beyblade players all around me. And I throw every card in my hand into the air. Thinking that he's about to strike me in the face. And I clench up. My whole body curls inward. And my cards fly up. And one fateful card lands between my thighs as I crumple inwards and splits entirely in half. Not splits. Folds entirely in half and creases between my clapping, thundering thighs.
And why was he telling you to wait?
Because he was supposed to have gained 1 memory from Ukomon. And so he was supposed to pass me 1 memory instead of 2. So, because of that, That was a $6 decision because I did lose a alt art purple memory boost.
You know what? I respect the like quick, decisive wait because you don't want like a misplay to impact it. That's why it's like when I think somebody's about to do something they can't do, I'm just like waiting. I'm like, oh, you can't do that. Wait. It's a lot less scary online, whereas in person you might.
I genuinely, it's like the only time where I was like, wow, this is about to come to blows. Like I know what it's like to be Noah now.
As you're telling your story, I was thinking, I think that's what Digimon is missing.
What, fighting?
Having to dodge projectiles as you play the game to really like separate your two sides of your brain.
I'll say that regardless of how I feel about the people who have objects thrown at them, whenever I see a celebrity dodging an object from a fan, they're a gamer. Dude, a quick dodge. I was watching, we're not American, but I was watching back the footage of George W. Bush dodging a shoe thrown at his head, and I've never seen a more alpha man in my life.
I've got this clear imagery in my head. I'm just like, imagine you're playing at Worlds and the players are completely focused on their cards in hand and they're just bobbing and weaving their head left and right as they dodge projectiles without even looking.
They look like have you ever played? You probably don't even. In Digimon Rumble Arena 2, hold on, I'm catching the audience up. This reference will matter and everyone will care. In Digimon Rumble Arena 2, Biyomon, her head moves entirely from shoulder to shoulder in her idle animation.
Yeah.
So that's what you want us to look like.
Pretty much, yeah.
Perfect.
I feel like it'd be a huge anime moment. By the way, I played a lot of Digimon Rumble Arena 2.
Yeah. So I'm one of the moderators of the Discord. I got all the frame data.
I'm very familiar with Biyomon. Okay. And her I don't even know what her attack's called, but it sends out that like green spiral.
Spiral twister?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
All right, I can very clearly as I can see people's Biyomon heads dodging projectiles, I can see that attack animation.
Okay.
All right, well that is all the comments for last episode. So I think we're gonna end the episode.
Wow, this is a clean cut. It's almost like we didn't talk for 40 minutes about how my cock looks in a change room.
Oh my God. Every time. We only brought it up 3 times this episode.
Well, yeah, but what if they're curious?
All right. I was going to go into the spiel of like, find us at Errata Sonata.
Did you realize
on Twitter.
I always do it?
Well, not even just that you always do it, that I don't even know. Like, okay, let me attempt it.
All right, give it a go.
You can contact us by leaving a comment on our YouTube videos or Spotify things, or you can email us at erratasonatapodcast@gmail.com. Also, you can find us on Twitter at erratasonata.
Yeah, that's more or less it.
Please tell us what you think about chess clocks or timers being introduced into Digimon, and either how you think it would be best implemented or if you think it's a terrible idea. Let us know. I want to know your thoughts.
We want to know your full first and last name so we can call you out on our podcast and make you a laughing stock of your local community.
Yes, please. That is exactly what we want. We want you first introduce us to your local community, then let us rip you to shreds.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Noah, I think I've taken the mantle too often. So would you like to take a swing at our sign-off line?
That's it for this episode, everybody. That's all, folks.